Hi, this is my first video for YouTube, so don't expect too much, but we'll see how it turns out. Actually, I was forced to make this video by Neil Degrass Tyson, and it should probably be called Truth About UFOs rather than the truth about Neil. Anyway, we'll see how it turns out. So recently, Neil deGrasse Tyson, the astrophysicist, gave a video on YouTube. This was with Kurt Jaimangalam. Jaimangal. The interview was a bit painful to watch, very contentious, argumentative. Mr. Tyson spoke over the interviewer. He didn't let him get a word edgewise, though Kurt managed to hold his own most of the time. Tyson likes to beat up his interviewers, with scientific arguments, logic, stuff like that. Anyway, it's the whole interview is not about UFOs, but they did get to UFOs, and then Tyson kept saying there's absolutely no evidence for the existence of aliens, and testimony of hundreds or thousands is completely worthless. His argument was, if there are aliens visiting us so frequently, why have all the people on Earth with maybe 5-6 billion smartphones not managed to take one single convincing video or photo? So my question to Mr. Tyson, Professor Tyson, is he a professor? Dr. Tyson, is if he's so smart, why can't he think of the reason for that by himself? Maybe he's not as smart as he thinks he is. Maybe he hasn't thought enough. He doesn't think it's worth thinking about. Anyway, in this video, I'll try to answer Tyson's questions. Why there are no convincing videos of aliens or alien ships. So the Fermi paradox, it's pretty famous by now, is that the likelihood of alien civilizations just like us existing somewhere in the universe is very high. And then there was the Drake equation, which tried to calculate the number of possible alien civilizations. And this number varies from a million to 50 million, anywhere. I mean, the universe has 100 billion galaxies. So is it more than that? It's more than 100 billion. So there could be millions of alien civilizations. So where are they all? Where are the aliens? Why are they hiding? Well, the answer is they're not hiding at all. They are here in plain sight. They are there everywhere. They're just invisible. Invisible? Mr. Tyson will say, oh, sorry, Dr. Tyson will say, impossible. Nothing is invisible. This is a magical Disney world. Invisible is just fantasy in some Marvel or Disney movie. Well, they say 70% of the universe is made of dark matter, or more than 70%. I don't know. Anyway, at least 70%. And dark matter is completely invisible. And we know dark matter exists because it produces gravitational pull on all stars and all objects in the universe. So things can be invisible and still real. So extraterrestrials are all made of dark matter. And there is more dark matter in the universe than regular matter. So we who are made of regular matter are actually in a minority. And not only are extraterrestrial aliens, their bodies made of dark matter, the spaceships are also made of dark matter. Their houses, their buildings are made of dark matter. Their food is made of dark matter. So if you see them eating, it looks like they're just popping air into their mouths. and everything else around them, their cars, if they have any. But anyway, their spaceships are all invisible and made of dark matter. So does that mean they are interdimensional beings? That was suggested by one of these UFO whistleblowers. No, they are not interdimensional. They are in the same dimension as us. They are just invisible. So if you come across a ET, an alien walking on Earth, you won't see him, but you could bump into him if you get too close. He's as solid as the rest of us. Um, Now, sometimes, well, a lot of times, these spaceships are visible because they switch from dark matter to regular matter just so that we can observe them. And they are, and then whenever they switch back, it looks like they've moved very fast, they've disappeared, but actually they're still there, or they may be going at regular speeds, but you just can't see them anymore. And the other thing is when they do switch to regular matter, they're not really that clearly visible. So all photos, videos of these alien spaceships will appear kind of blurry. So that doesn't mean they're all made up of videos. They're photoshopped. There's some are photoshopped, but they will never be clearly seen until as long as they're not really regular matter. And I'm sure they can do that, but most of the time it's just so that we can observe them on radar or see them with our eyes, but not that clearly. And there may be other alien civilizations that are made of regular matter, but the ones that are visiting us, they are all dark matter aliens. So Neil Degrass Tyson, even though he's an astrophysicist, doesn't know what dark matter is. He's never seen dark matter. He's never taken a photo or video of dark matter. But he still believes in dark matter. He thinks, I think he called it Fred because he said dark matter is not a good name because we don't know anything about it. But maybe we need to educate him about dark matter. Dark matter is just like regular matter, but it does not reflect visible light. So we can't, or it actually does not reflect any electromagnetic radiation. So we can't see it or we can't detect it. The only way to detect it is through gravitational pull. But dark matter has three states just like regular matter: solid, liquid, gas. One thing we are not sure about, and I don't know, is does dark matter, mass of dark matter increase with velocity like regular matter? So dark matter may be possible to be going at higher speed, higher than the speed of light, but we don't know that yet. But it's quite likely. And the other thing about dark matter, it's solid just like regular matter. You can't see a invisibility and walk through him. He's solid. If you spray paint him, you'll see his outline. The other thing with the dark matter is it's not as strong as regular matter. So ETs are fairly fragile creatures. They are not well, not all human beings are tough, but ETs are not as tough as regular or Earth human beings. They are fragile. There's a story of a soldier throwing a rock and hurting a ET child pretty badly, and the mother of the ET was so mad she was just about to kill the soldier, and then they stopped her just in time. Anyway, that's just a story. Well, an anecdote in some book. We're not sure if it's true or not. The other thing, are these ETs from a galaxy far, far away like Star Wars? Well, maybe some are, but most of them are not. Most of the ETs are from our local solar system. In fact, a majority of ETs here in Earth are from Mars, and they are the short ones with big eyes. And the population of Mars, I'm told, is greater than of Earth, so probably more than 8 billion. The buildings on Mars and houses are made of dark matter, so we don't see them. You can go on Mars and it looks all empty. It looks unlivable, but in dark matter, it's quite livable, and there are lots of buildings and lots of people. Um, Another interesting thing is Mars is like the factory of the solar system, a bit like China. So if there are spaceships coming from Venus or Mercury, the spaceships are actually manufactured on Mars. And I guess the Venusians get the spaceships from Mars, though I don't know how they pay for them because I don't think they have such a thing as money. And then the second most common visitors to Earth are from Venus. They are tall and sort of good looking, that's what I heard. But they look a lot like humans, so not short like Martians. Now, if people like Dr. Tyson want evidence, the only evidence there is actually visible evidence that you can check out are crop circles. Now, of course, everybody is out. So crop circles are all hoaxes. That has been shown and proven so many times. Yeah. So I suggest you watch this video on YouTube called the Y Files on crop circles. I will provide a link in the comments. That explains to you where all the hoaxes came from and how many of them are non-hoaxes. Now we come to the history of extraterrestrials. The extraterrestrials have been watching people on Earth for thousands, probably millions of years, but they're not allowed to interfere in Earth affairs. They can't come and tell Earth, "Oh, it's time you got civilized. Here's some advanced technology for you to use." They just can't do that. The reason is humans on Earth are supposed to have free will, and even the gods are not allowed to interfere with human free will. But something different happened in 1945. The US exploded an atom bomb, and they were about to create nuclear reactors. And there was panic in all the solar system. Everybody was afraid that humans would soon destroy the Earth. And then the ETs came up with a plan to try and convince the US to give up atomic weapons, as well as actually commercial nuclear reactors. The problem was the ETs are not visible, so who's going to pay attention to them or listen to them? And the Martians came up with a plan to take one of their small scout spaceships, make it into regular matter, make it visible, and then deliberately crash it into the New Mexico desert. So it was no accident. Nobody brought this spaceship down, not the US Air Force or some mistake on the part of Martians. It was a deliberate crash, and it became famous as the Roswell incident. But the US government still managed to suppress and cover up the incident. And I believe at least 3 Martians lost their lives in the crash. So it was not a complete failure. It's still a well-known incident, but it was covered up successfully by the US government. And then since 1947, the Roswell incident, there have been many other deliberate crashes. Most of them are unoccupied ET spacecraft. They're all scout ships. They never crash the motherships, which can be heard to be a mile or 2 miles across. They don't crash those. They just crash the expendable small ones. The purpose of the crash is to try and break the cover up by the US government. Not really the government, it's a small secret organization within the Pentagon and CIA. And this is what tries to cover up or has been successful in covering up the UFO phenomenon for 70, 80 years. And the other reason they crash is they want to give the US government, and even Russia, there have been crashes in Russia, the chance to examine and reverse engineer the spaceships. So, get them with technology. The Roswell crash happened during the Truman administration. The Truman administration didn't take the Martians too seriously. Um, they were proud of their atomic bombs and were not about to give them up just because some little guys from Mars told them to do so. And anyway, they were the only country in the world that had atom bombs, and they were not about to give them up. Um, but they were worried that knowledge about aliens would create panic among the population, so they were determined to keep it covered up. They got rid of all, well, they didn't really get rid of the witnesses, but they got the witnesses, warned them not to say a word. They gathered up the crash, whatever was left of the vehicle, and then gave it to the scientists to analyze. But they were not too concerned about the whole thing. And then came the Eisenhower administration. And this time, the Venusians decided to try their own plan to convince the US to give up atomic weapons. Um, the Venusians are a rather advanced species, much more advanced than the Martians, and of course, far more advanced than the Earth. And to us human beings from Earth, Venusians would look almost godlike because they were capable of all kinds of actions that may look miraculous to us, though they may not be actual miracles. And their plan was pretty fantastic and unbelievable. So I am not going to mention too much about it here. But what happened was they first landed their spaceship somewhere close to DC, and they were all dressed up as humans. I mean, not exactly dressed up. They actually created human bodies, human-like bodies, and one of them, who now looked exactly like a human, went to the White House. He told them he was an alien, and he managed to get a meeting with Eisenhower. And I believe Nixon, the VP, was also there, present at the meeting. And he actually stayed at the White House for quite a long time. And his message to the White House was, give up your atomic weapons. We will give you new technology. We will make all the problems of on Earth of disease and hunger go away. In fact, gave Eisenhower a plan about how they would go about it. But the Eisenhower administration was not about to buy that. Um, his Nelson Rockefeller, I think he was the national security advisor. He was a Christian evangelist. He didn't like this alien story at all. It really made his Judeo-Christian beliefs look bad. Was Jesus still the only one and only Son of God? I mean, he didn't know the answers to all this. So the idea, and of course, the aliens seemed so powerful, so far ahead in technology. If the enemies of the US heard about it, they would no longer be, or not just the enemies, even the friends wouldn't be listening to the US. So the aliens were a big problem. So they decided to drive the whole story far underground, much more so than the Truman administration. Now, The thing was, the story, even the presidents, future presidents, were prohibited from learning about UFO secrets. JFK and Johnson were probably the last presidents to be briefed on the UFO phenomenon. Nixon, of course, already knew about it because he was VP during the Eisenhower period. But the presidents after Nixon, like Carter, Bush Jr., Clinton, Obama, they were not briefed in details. They may have been given hints, but not briefed in details about the UFOs. And JFK, in fact, had to be assassinated because he was planning to reveal whatever he knew about UFO secrets. So I'll leave it at that for this video. I might make another video about aliens, but I'm not sure. It depends on how this video does. Actually, maybe I will make another video about the Earth God, because that's an interesting story in itself. This Judeo-Christian idea of only one single universal God is not exactly true. I mean, there is a universal God, but each planet also has its own God. Well, we can talk about it next time. So see you next time. Thanks.